Hey everyone, we're here with key cast members and the executive producer of Amazon's The Man in the High Castle. Welcome everyone. Welcome to Comic
Thanks for
Con.
having
Hey.
us.
Nice to be
Yeah.
Amazon released the news right as season 1 was airing that it's the most streamed original series for Amazon ever. How does that feel?
Feels amazing. Are you
Yeah,
kidding?
it feels great.
Yeah.
Number
And-
one.
And so it's an alternate history series with twinges of sci-fi elements into it. It's got a lot going for it. It's heavy, it's tragic. How have you described the show to people when they've asked, like, what is this project about?
Well, I think history can change on a knife edge, and I think this show is, as you say, is an alternative history kind of series, and it's a what if, and it reimagines what would happen if the Allies lost World War II, and it's a kind of reimagining of what it would be like to live in occupied America in 1962, and I think a lot of the audience find that really interesting. And we have the East Coast, the Nazi Reich, and the West Coast, the Pacific states, and life in America, being occupied. It's a rich narrative, I think, for lots of things that go on and how that would be.
Now,
Yeah, it shows sort of everything too. It's not just the history side. It shows like how technology would have evolved differently. What hairstyles, what clothing would be like. It's a
Yeah.
reimagining of everything. So the show it's quite an ambitious endeavor because, like, planes look different, telephones look different.
Music,
Yeah.
art, what's allowed, what's not allowed, books, everything. So it's not just for us the cast, but it's the set design, the costumes. It's all a kind of a reimagining of a world that doesn't really exist.
But not only that, it's the similarities are very interesting.
Yeah, you're right.
also, that where it crosses over, and there's a certain type of 50s Americana that you don't actually have to shift that far
Right.
in order for it to still work in this world, and that's quite telling and quite disturbing. So it's where that world and this intersects is also very interesting for us,
now, Rufus, your character, started out, it's a Nazi, he's an American-born Nazi. We're going to not like this guy. But then as the first season went on, there was twinges of sympathy when we would see his home life and his son's diagnosis and all that. What was that like for you to sort of build to something that we're actually going to care about this guy
Well,
now?
it was very important for me in doing the role. So when I read the pilot, it was very black and white. So that he seemed to be. I was worried that he just occupied the position of cast iron bad guy, And I saw an early look at episode 2 when you see him with his family, and conversations with people involved that led me to believe that this was a story of someone who otherwise would have led a very different life and would have seemed, to all intents and purposes, like a very good person. And what a regime like this does to people. That was a very interesting question. So that's what I was hoping for, and luckily it was borne out.
And Rupert, Frank had a very rough go of things in the first season, starting sort of right out of the gate. What was it like for you? It's a lot of heavy moments there. Was anything particularly resonate for you in the first season?
Well, I think as Rufus says, you get to see different perspectives, and for my character Frank Frink, you see a guy who's really trying to live from day to day and trying to deal with life at the very bottom of the ladder, and I think and it's about survival and just very basic elements of life, whereas Rufus is slightly in the higher echelons of life. So you see the real scope, I think, of the diversity of life and what would happen if you lived under these regimes, and that's interesting.
Bella, we haven't met your character yet. She's new to the
Yeah,
second season. Can you talk a little bit about what she's about and who she might be interacting with? Because there are separate story threads going on.
Yeah. Look, she's a documentary filmmaker. She's Lebensborn, so she's kind of this embodiment of the perfect Aryan woman. I think she's uber wealthy and privileged, and she's quite independent. I think that wealth and privilege allows her to be independent in a time and place where that's can get you killed. Plus she's a sassy flirt, which is really fun, and I think most my flirting all takes place with Luke, just trying to break down his barriers because he's not having a bar of me at the beginning.
Joe Blake.
Joe Blake.
DJ, we left your character in a sort of a precarious situation.
Yeah.
You kept your head down all season. You're one of the people who's like, don't cause trouble, don't do this, and so on, and then you wind up kind of taking a inadvertent fall for a big moment. What was that like for you, like, as an actor, just sort of, it seemed like a build toward a big tragedy for somebody who wasn't experiencing tragedy the entire season.
Right, my character is afraid. I mean, imagine growing up. The difference between the Reich and what the Japanese did. The Reich, they integrated. The Nazis, they're American, but we're under Japanese rule. So my character grows up as this is the law, and it's there. Even though it's messed up, there's a safety in that. And the rug is completely pulled out from underneath him because he loves Frank so much, and Frank is going in this sort of a rebellious on this rebellious path.
Frank loves you
and
too.
And I'm being pulled along, and I'm suffering for it. And we get into that a lot more this year. It occurred to me the other day. We're shooting episode 7 of the second season right now, and it's only been 21 days since our story began. And for us, it's almost 2 years of filming, but
Sure.
you have to really think, we're only 21 days into this. How much has your life changed in these 21 days? It's completely different. And getting more chaotic and scary every day.
And how quickly we're aging as well.
Right, I know how quickly we're aging.
Very stressful circumstances.
But the stakes get higher every single day, every single episode. And I think with Ed, more than any other character, you see that because he was not fine, he was okay, and now he's not okay anymore.
So we can kick this off into season 2, and David, if you'd like to talk about this, what can we expect from the show in the second season? I mean, the first season itself was an adaptation of the novel, but now we're beyond kind of that story, going into fully new territory. What can we expect?
Well, I mean, in truth, the first season went well beyond the novel, because the novel, from a narrative standpoint, and certainly from Easter Reich standpoint, didn't really exist. And so was so much world creation to begin with, and I think the ambition of season 2 is to continue that expansion, to further dimensionalize and challenge these characters as the world becomes an ever more perilous place to live in, and the decisions and the stakes of those decisions become ever more intense.
And for your characters, Rufus, are you entering season 2 as a hero, as somebody who sort of stopped this conspiracy, at least on the German side of things?
Well, what's interesting for me is there's two parallel stories for him. That he's ascending the hierarchy. He started off very, very high, but he is, in one sense, a hero. At the same time as that, there's there's an interior story that goes in the opposite direction, and those two things continue to conflict, and probably, well, they're continuing to conflict is all I will say at this stage.
Yeah, looking at the stuff with the Reich this year, it's interesting how that's moving forward. The veneer of it's utopia. It looks great. You look protected.
The cracks are showing.
Yeah, but now the cracks start to show this year, and you really see behind the cost. The veneer comes at a high price.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. I love the show. And keep it locked into IGN for all things San Diego Comic-Con.